He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. An off day today, practice-wise, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will be right back on the field tomorrow at the Miller Electric Center, what is reported to be sort of a second scrimmage tomorrow down at the Miller Electric Center as they get ready for the New Orleans Saints on Sunday, preseason game number 2. We're basically right at about the halfway point of training camp. They've been on the field, I believe tomorrow, or actually today, as a matter of fact. I believe today marked 3 weeks since the first practice. 3 weeks from today, the game plan will be being installed for the Carolina game, which is 3.5 weeks away. So we are essentially at the halfway point of training camp. And with that, I kind of wanted to go over a couple of things with you guys. I've been down at every single practice or training camp that they've had. I want to talk about things that maybe we knew 3 weeks ago that have been, I guess, verified over the last 21 days. I also want to talk about things that have surprised us over the last 21 days of training camp. More on that in just one moment. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. My buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on Primetime. You'll get him weekly here during the year on Hacker After Dark. He also is my co-host along this year with the coach Gerald Ingram on the 5th quarter, which will debut September 7th. We'll get Leon on this evening to talk about camp, look ahead to Sunday in New Orleans, talk Travis Hunter, a little offensive line talk, and all points in between with Leon Searcy. Also, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. I would imagine some of you have your fantasy football drafts this upcoming weekend. We will get you ready for those fantasy football drafts with Dave Kluge, with one of the best websites out there when it comes to fantasy football. That, of course, footballguys.com. And speaking of fantasy football, 1 week from tomorrow, the Hacker Fantasy League returns after a 3-year absence. Thursday night, August the 21st, Twin Peaks is the location. Atlantic and Kernan actually went over to Twin Peaks earlier today, did a site check, got a lay of the land, know where we're going to be. It is going to be an outstanding venue, terrific food, ice cold beer, full bar. It's awesome inside of Twin Peaks. If you think you're one of the best fantasy football players that listens to 1010XL, well, you have your chance to prove it in the Hacker Fantasy League, but you're running out of time. We're running out of spots. I believe 10 of the 16 spots have been accounted for at this point. We will give away 2 spots this evening here on Hacker After Dark. So be listening. Again, we only ask 2 things of you if you want to get in the Hacker Fantasy League. Number 1, that you're available Thursday night, August the 21st, 1 week from tomorrow. And number 2, you bring some people with you. You know, not that it wouldn't be fun to have 16 people, 1 at each table, but we kind of want an environment, right? We want to jazz it up a little bit. Bring the family, bring the kids, the wife, bring the guys out for a boys' night. However you want to do it, bring some folks with you. So if you can commit to being there on Thursday night, August the 21st, you'll bring some people with you. And, by the way, it is a 16-team fantasy league. Got to know what you're doing in this thing. You'll have your opportunity to get in fact, pretty soon would be my guess. We'll give away 2 spots, one of which will be pretty soon here on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So, 3 weeks since the Jaguars took the field for training camp. What have we learned in the last 3 weeks? What has been verified that maybe we already knew 3 weeks ago? Let me start there first. Well, one thing that's been verified is the Travis Hunter factor. We knew he was a star 3 weeks ago. That has been verified over the last 3 weeks. I can tell you personally, when I walk out to the Miller Electric Center every day, you probably see it. If you follow me on social media, usually one of the first pictures or videos I take is Travis Hunter. Is he wearing a teal jersey? Is he wearing a white jersey? What is he doing position-wise that day? What drills is he going through? And why do I take those videos? Why do I take those pictures? Well, I do it for you because I know you guys want to know about Travis Hunter, hence the star value that the Jaguar rookie has. So that has certainly been verified. I think another thing that has been verified that I probably knew 3 weeks ago is Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. Very excited about that duo on the edge this year. Very excited. Think those guys could have a big year. Trayvon Walker is looking to get a brand new contract. Hines Allen is looking to live up to his new contract. Certainly Hines Allen coming off a disappointing season. Trayvon Walker only seems to be getting better as the seasons go by. I was high on both guys 3 weeks ago. Nothing I have seen has changed my opinion on that. Also, 3 weeks ago, I would have told you that Cam Little was among the top 10, maybe top 5 kickers in football. I felt confident in telling you that. I feel confident in telling you now after a 70-yard field goal. And not enough is being made about the 52-yarder he made after that. 70-yarder is one thing. A lot of pressure on him hitting a 52-yarder, because if he would have missed the 52-yarder, yeah, he hit the 70-yarder, but it would have left a bad taste in the mouth for missing his final kick of the night, and he drilled the 52-yarder as well. And last time I checked, a 52-yarder is nothing to sneeze at. To me, it's verified from what I knew 3 weeks ago. Cam Little is not only a top 10 kicker in this league, Cam Little may indeed be the best kicker in this league. He's certainly in the conversation. I was high on Trevor Lawrence 3 weeks ago. I think Liam Cohen's system, I think Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. I think Trevor's going to have a big year. I told you guys that. I think this is going to be a career year for Trevor Lawrence. Nothing I've seen over the last 3 weeks of training camp has affected my opinion on that. I still think it's going to be a very big year for Trevor Lawrence. Now, things that maybe I did not see 3 weeks ago. Some positive, some negative. Let's begin with the negative. I have concerns about the interior defensive line. 3 weeks ago, it was Armstead, it was Mason Smith, it was Devon Hamilton, Tyler Lacey, Jordan Jefferson. Well, we haven't seen Mason Smith at all in camp. We really haven't seen Armstead at all in camp. And the opener is 25 days away. There's still time, but I have a little more trepidation about the interior defensive line now than I did when training camp started 3 weeks ago. I have a little more trepidation about the offensive line as well than I did 3 weeks ago. I was of the opinion you brought a lot of new guys in. They were going to figure it out. I still think they may figure it out, but to say that I'm lukewarm on the offensive line right now would be accurate. I'm not over the top with what I've seen out of the offensive line in practice. I don't think it's horrible. I don't want it to make it sound like it's, awful. I just don't think it's been great either by any stretch of the imagination. In a positive way, I didn't know much about LaQuint Allen Jr. 3 weeks ago. I know that guy runs hard and he runs violent now. He's a guy that mixes it up a little bit. He's fun to watch. Bashal Tootin, all I was told from draft analysts heading into training camp is the guy fumbles a lot. He also fumbled his first carry of rookie minicamp. He hasn't done anything wrong in training camp at all. He's been very good, and he was very good in the game Saturday night against Pittsburgh. Those are just a sampling. Things we knew 3 weeks ago that have been verified, things we did not know 3 weeks ago that maybe we know now. My question to you, Jacksonville, is what will we know 3 weeks from now that we do not know tonight? And that's the fun part. That's the beauty of the NFL, and that's the beauty of what we do here every night on Hacker After Dark. Speaking of one of the great things we do here on Hacker After Dark, it is the Hacker Fantasy League Draft 2025. We're giving 2 spots away tonight. If you think you're one of the best players, fantasy football players that listens to 1010XL, if you want one of the coveted 16 spots in the Hacker Fantasy League next Thursday night, August 21st at Twin Peaks, if you can commit to being there and you'll bring people with you, be caller 4 right now at 641-1010, and Dylan Denmark will hook you up with a spot in the 2025 HFL. And I'll see you next Thursday at Twin Peaks on Atlantic and Kernan. My buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You also get him here on Hacker After Dark. He joins me next, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Get in the huddle with 1010XL's QB.
All right, guys, let's make a play for 1010XL.
David Garrard joins Mike and Fat Tony on Jaguars Today. Restored by Resto Pros of Northeast Florida on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
Listen to whatever you like, whenever you want.
I like this.
1010XL on demand. Ad-free shows after the live shows end. Channeled by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
The Coke Zero Sugar 400 returns as the NASCAR Cup Series regular season finale. Answer this question for a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 August 23rd. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name only to 641-1010. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name only to 641-1010 for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400.
Hi, I'm John Haney from Clearwater Gutters and Drainage. After heavy rains, the problems are obvious. Mulch blown out of your beds, water standing around your foundation, and that fancy new crater back behind your bushes. Let Clearwater Seamless Gutters help you solve the problem spots.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters.
And drainage too.
Find out more at clearwaterjacks.com.
No matter what the reason, sending a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers always works. For unique and special gifts, visit their showroom on Beach Boulevard. Dylan Denmark here with 1010XL. Kuhn Flowers is my go-to and should be yours. Online at kuhnflowers.com.
Hey, Hicken here for my friends at Cleaning Freaks at Zero Res. Back to school special with those guys. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $135 plus a free hallway and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and take advantage of these huge savings.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
I'm Frank Frangie, and you've heard me tell you how much success my daughter Amber is having with the Awaken 180 weight loss program. But Amber, maybe it's time you should tell them.
I think they'd rather hear from you, Dad. You're the radio guy.
Yeah, but in this case, you're the one doing all the work.
But that's the thing, Dad. It doesn't feel like work. The food is great. I never feel hungry. My coach, Mary, is so good, so encouraging. If you follow the plan, Awaken 180 really works.
Well, everyone I know that's tried it has said the same thing. The result is people not only look better, but they feel better. I've kind of known you your whole life, and I can tell you feel great.
I feel better than I have in years. I love that part. I feel so good. I have Awaken 180 to thank for that.
So you heard it from my kid, and you can feel great too. Just call 1-844-346-1800. That's 1-844-346-1800, or visit awaken180weightloss.com and start your transformation today.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars, one preseason game in the books. They're getting ready for preseason week 2, traveling to New Orleans on Sunday, a 1 o'clock kick. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. And when the regular season rolls around on September 7th, we will have the return of the 5th quarter. One of my guys that will be joining me, as always, for the 5th quarter is the Pro Bowler, Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on XL Primetime, and we're lucky enough to also have him right now on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how are you, pal?
I'm good, bro.
It was good to see you out at camp the last couple of days. Let's rewind back to Saturday. A couple of your former teams going at it in the preseason, the Steelers and the Jaguars. From a Jacksonville perspective, Leon, your biggest takeaways from last Saturday night.
You know what? It was underwhelming for me, to be quite honest with you, because the narrative all during the offseason is that this new regime, this new energy, these young guys, we're going to come into the building and energize this group and get them to play with some effort and execution. And I saw none of that. I saw a whole bunch of what I saw last year, and it was disappointing on both sides of the ball. I mean, listen, the offensive line, they didn't give up any sacks, but it was times that with Trevor didn't get rid of the football, it would have been sacks. And then on the defensive front, I mean, they couldn't stop anybody. I mean, they couldn't stop the big plays down the field in the passing game. And that had a lot to do with the fact they couldn't get any pass rush. And then there was breakdowns of communication in the back end with the DB. So I was a bit frustrated. I thought what I was going to see Saturday was a group of guys who would play with some fire in their belly. And I know, and you know what, and we're in this industry and we're in this business to overreact on certain things. Because that's the nature of what we do. But hopefully we can see something better this week than we saw last week.
Yeah, I don't completely disagree with you. I thought particularly the first team offense, but almost really the offense in general, I like the play calling. I love the 4th and 1 in around at De'Ami Brown. My biggest problem, Leon, and it was clearly Liam Cohen's biggest problem in his post-game press conference, the self-inflicted stuff, the penalties, as you mentioned, things along those lines, the drops. My gracious, how many drops did the Jaguars have on Saturday night? I thought from a coaching standpoint, I thought the play calling was maybe something a little different than we've seen in years past, which I enjoyed.
It was more upbeat. It had a little bit more rhythm than we're used to seeing. It was different. It wasn't the same old that we saw last year. And I can tell you this from being in meetings, that the one thing that frustrates coaches more than anything, they don't mind if you get beat physically, but if you beat yourself mentally, they don't tolerate that. I mean, I can only imagine the conversation. I mean, because they had 8 penalties in the game for 60 yards. You're talking about illegal. Listen, God forbid Anton Harrison stays on side on the first play of the game. Mm-hmm. He jumps off side. That lets you know right then and there that he's not locked in. He's not locked in, and I hate to add on to it, but you can't have that. I mean, you're no longer a rookie. This is year 3 for you. You got to play with more anticipation. You can't have the first play of the game and you jump outside the legal procedure. That's the kind of stuff that drives coaches crazy, because they think you're locked in, they think you're focused, and you do stuff like that. But it was breakdowns, penalties all across the board. Coaches can't stand mental errors. That's why I think Campbellini, I think he brought his, I can't remember what practice it was, but he brought his whole defense out there, and he focused at least 20, 30, 40 minutes on just communication, talking to each other, which is kind of frustrating to me, because you're talking about paid for professionals who watch film every day, hopefully taking notes, hopefully studying at night. And then when they get on the biggest stage, they fall and falter. I don't understand it. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, is a stage fright? What the hell is it? Because that information is tuned in your head over and over and over again, and to go out there and not execute it at the highest level is very disappointing to me.
Leon Searcy was a Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime, and we have him right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, you and I haven't spoke on air since the start of training camp. Your thoughts in camp and in the first game on Travis Hunter?
I mean, in camp, he looks phenomenal. I mean, both sides of the ball. I can't remember a time I went out to camp where I've seen him on offense where he's dropped a pass. He's an amazing talent. I'm rooting for the kid. You know, everybody, I'm hearing all these different analysts and NFL experts sort of say you can't do it in the NFL. It's impossible. It's too grueling. All those things are right, but it's always impossible until you see it's done. So I'm rooting for the kid. I mean, because not only because he's got so many haters out there that hope he fails at it, and also, he has to justify, us giving up the farm for him. I'm just saying, what I'm looking at him to be impactful on both sides of the ball. I'm not sure if I want to look at stats right now, but if he's impactful in the passing game, and he's impactful and breaking up some passes or maybe some interceptions or tip balls in the defensive side of the ball, I think the kid will show his worth, that what we gave up, the draft capital we gave up to go move up and go get him.
You know, one of the things you and I talked about at practice earlier this week is LaQuint Allen Jr., the 7th-round pick out of Syracuse, obviously a part of that Travis Hunter draft class. LaQuint Allen Jr., I had the chance to talk to him last week, Leon. He runs hard, man. He runs, dare I say, violently. And there's been a couple of instances in camp where he's lowered the boom on a couple of defensive players. I get the feeling they're a little bit tired of it, because pretty much every skirmish that we've had out there at training camp that the media has been there for, LaQuint Allen Jr. has been sort of in the mix of it. I like the passion, but I'm not in that locker room as a veteran. What is your thought on a rookie coming in and trying to make a name for himself and getting in a little dust-up every once in a while with some of the veterans?
Hey, listen. First of all, I've already given him a name. He's Baby Hawk. Okay, that's Baby Hawk. All right, so, and listen, when you're a rookie, the worst thing you could ever do, if this is what you've been doing all through in college, then you can, because there's always veterans that want you to, listen, the same thing happened to me when I was with the Steelers. I used to go full speed all the time. It didn't matter, in practice and conditioning or whatever. I was not going to change my routine to what made me great in college. Now, veterans, they're like, hey, man, you need to slow it down, whatever. No, get in the weight room. If you can't handle the funk that I'm bringing to you every day at practice, then you get your butt back in the weight room. Do not stop being you. I don't care how much pressure. I don't care what the veterans say to you, because they're going to make, and they do a hack. Behind closed doors, those veterans go by rookies and say, hey, man, you better slow it down out there, or we're going to do that. The hell with them. Play your game. That's the only way you're going to get better. If they don't like it, the hell with them.
And that must be the mindset LaQuint Allen Jr. has, because, again, you want to talk about making a name for yourself. That 7th-round rookie certainly has. I'll tell you, Bashal Tutin has, too, the 4th-round running back out of Virginia Tech. Leon, I think both of those rookie running backs have been a couple of the bright spots in camp.
They have. I mean, that Tutin run, that was special. I mean, because he never stopped churning. He kept those legs churning. The offensive line came and rolled his back and pushed him in for the touchdown. That was one of the high points for me when I saw the game. When I saw that rookie make that cut in the hole, run over a guy, keep his legs turning, the offensive line jumping on the back and push it back. That's the kind of energy I'm talking about right there. And this kid, I mean, he's fast. You're talking about a guy. Listen, if he gets out in the open field with a couple of swing passes and he's one-on-one with a DB and a safety, good luck. Because he is elusive and he's got that 4.3 speed. So I definitely believe that Liam Cohen is going to utilize him in some capacity. And then Baby Hawk, you have to use him on like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 situations. I think we might have 4 backs, and we might have 4 backs. We can't take 4 backs, can we?
I think 4 are going to make the 53. I think all of them are going to make the roster. Will they all dress on game day? I don't know, but I think all 4 are going to make the 53, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. Absolutely.
All right, Leon, as we begin to wrap up, again, final moments with Leon Searcy. Trevor Lawrence was 6 of 7 for 43 yards. I don't know if he showed you anything necessarily. The one I will say, that throw to Brenton Strange, that did not appear to be his first read on that play. That was a really good throw in a tight window. So that kind of reminded me of what we saw Trevor doing in 2022. Hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some good passes, some good throws in the game. He's looked, I don't know, he hasn't looked spectacular in practice, but he's looked good. He's looked polished. He's going through his reads. He's checking it down. And that's easy to say in practice when you don't know anybody, when you don't know what's going to hit you. So it was good to see him in a little comfort zone during the game. The ball was coming out quickly, though. So, I mean, he took a lot of pressure off the offensive line. But it was good to see. But that, I don't know, that throw he threw to BTJ.
Yeah, that was bad.
You can't make that throw.
And truthfully, Liam Cohen said that was a crappy play call, and Cohen actually took some of the blame, which I thought was refreshing because we haven't had a lot of head coaches around here with accountability in recent memory.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can take all the blame you want, but you need to go by BTJ house and apologize.
Yeah, it was almost really bad. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's almost really bad, bro.
Hey, Leon, final question. Biggest difference we think we'll see between preseason game 1 and preseason game 2? How big a jump is there?
Well, you're hoping as a coaching staff that the biggest jump is from 1 to 2 because the preseason 1 was the first time the coaching staff had an opportunity to actually see you in live. I mean, yeah, you got tape during training camp, but not all the training camp is live full speed. Nothing's live in full speed until you can hit the quarterback. So now they can do their analysis, and it's a teaching session as well. So it's a teaching session as far as technique, fundamentals, assignments, all that kind of stuff. And now the coaching staff, whether they're good or bad in the game, which obviously on the defensive side it was more bad than good, they probably got their butt chewed out. Okay, and if you're any kind of player, when you're called out in a meeting amongst your peers, it's upsetting. So now you take it personal and you want to do something about it. So that's why a lot of times the first preseason game and the second preseason game is more energetic, more effort, more hitting, not as many breakdown on assignments and communications because the coaching staff is putting emphasis on it now, and the players take it personally because, amongst their peers, when you get called out, nobody likes that. So I'm pretty sure Campanile got into those guys pretty good on the pass rush and stopping the run and communication and stuff like that. So I expect the defense for sure to play better this game against New Orleans Saints.
Leon Searcy was a Pro Bowl offensive tackle for your Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime, and beginning September 7th, he will once again join me along with our new addition, the coach Gerald Ingram, for the 5th quarter right here on 1010XL. Leon, appreciate it, man. We'll talk again soon.
You got it, bro.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Tee off for a cause. Join Junior Achievement of North Florida for the Golf Classic September 29th at San Jose Country Club. Help support financial literacy for local students. Find out how at janfl.org.
Find out how you can be part of the cure for blood cancer at the Light the Night Walk at 5-Star Ballpark November 22nd. Take the first step at lightthenight.org.
Military veterans have always protected us. And in Jacksonville, thousands of our veterans suffer from mental wounds like PTSD. Now it's time to return the favor. Learn how you can help at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Creeks Athletic Association in St. Johns County offers a variety of sports for children 5 to 18. Learn how to get your child involved at caaleague.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
We're a veteran and still 100% locally owned and operated HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, and general contracting company. Ideal Conditions has been BBB accredited with an A+ rating since 2008 with 4.9 out of 5 stars from over 1,000 reviews on Google.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
IdealConditionsJax.com.
Chelsea here from Renewal by Anderson. You've seen and heard our ads where I talk about Renewal by Anderson's exclusive Fiberx material, twice as strong as vinyl, incredibly energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. But if you haven't reached out yet, August only, Renewal by Anderson is offering triple savings: $300 off every window, $825 off every patio door, plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0% interest for 12 months. Schedule your free consultation today at bestwindowsflorida.com. License number CGC 1527613.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Week 2 of the NFL preseason tomorrow night. A couple of games tomorrow night. Handful of games Friday and Saturday. Of course, the Jaguars don't play until Sunday at 1 o'clock on the NFL Network against the New Orleans Saints. More on the Jags in a moment, but as we go around the National Football League, I don't know what NFL media is going to do with themselves this week in the preseason, because earlier today, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, who I guess is destined for Canton, Ohio, after his 13 of 22 performance last week with a couple of touchdowns, is unlikely to play Saturday due to an oblique injury. I kid because I care, but it was pretty ridiculous last week how Shedeur Sanders was made out to be the second coming of Montana, Favre, Brady, and Elway for going 13 of 22 in a preseason football game with a couple of touchdowns. It was almost nauseating. Not so much at the kid, but just at the coverage that he's getting. I mean, good grief, man. Get a grip. But anyway, this just adds to Cleveland's quandary at quarterback. Kenny Pickett's had injury problems this training camp. Dylan Gabriel has had injury problems this training camp. Now Shedeur Sanders has an oblique injury. They might need to play Joe Flacco even if they don't want to, because they literally are running out of quarterbacks. Joe Flacco is the projected starter there in Cleveland for the regular season. Falcons, Titans, joint practice earlier today. And from all indications, a pretty good brouhaha, pretty good melee. You know, we get a couple of these every year. You almost come to expect them. I don't know how I would feel about it if I'm a coach. You tell your guys, go out there and compete. We want to get some good work in, but we don't want to reenact Braveheart, right? You don't want William Wallace coming on one side the Brits coming on the other to just have at each other. Particularly when your starting quarterback is in said brouhaha. Did you get a load of this? Earlier today, Falcons-Titans involved in a practice fight, and right there in the middle of it is Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Now, Denmark, all right, it's one thing if the third-string linebackers get involved or maybe even the second-string defensive ends, but having your starting quarterback in the middle of a fight at a joint practice, probably not what Atlanta wanted today.
Yeah, it's not smart, to put it bluntly.
Not smart at all.
You just don't. You can't be doing that, man. Like, you are the face of the franchise. If you do what you're supposed to do, you are going to be getting paid over $200 million in 3 to 4 years. You can't be doing that kind of stuff.
No. And again, I saw a video of it. It's kind of hard to see who was involved, but you do see Penix out there in the mix, if you will. Again, practice or joint practices, you kind of expect fights, pushing and shoving, whatever. You don't expect to see a starting quarterback right in the middle of it. So I'm sure Raheem Morris and the Falcons may have a conversation with Michael Penix Jr. about that. James Cook, former Georgia Bulldog, was doing a hold in. That apparently is the new thing in the NFL. Gone are the days of the hold out where you avoid camp entirely. Now you do a hold in. You go to meetings, right? You do things along those lines. You're on the practice field. You're just not participating in practice, waiting for your contract to get worked out. Well, James Cook was in the middle of a hold in, but now he can be on the practice field as he has signed a brand new 4-year, $48 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. I've been watching the Hard Knocks on the Bills. That's been pretty interesting. I'm sure this will be a storyline next week, but Buffalo gets that headache behind them. James Cook, a 4-year deal. He'll be back on the practice field for the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. And Miami apparently avoided a problem today. Chop Robinson, their second-year defensive end from Penn State, was carted off the field today. People expected the worst. Robinson took to, I believe, Instagram and said, "Fear not, it's not as bad as it looked." So he hinted that he has avoided major injury. We'll get the official word from the team, but it appears to be good news because I know a lot of people are very high on Chop Robinson. I think you've had a very good offseason down there in Miami, and when he got carted off today, people felt or feared the worst. Apparently, a major injury was avoided. We'll get word probably from the Dolphins tomorrow on the length of time Robinson may miss with said injury. Fantasy football drafts going on all over the place. Probably some this weekend. Dave Kluge of Football Guys, one of the best fantasy football websites out there. He will get you ready for your fantasy drafts coming up here in just a moment. And speaking of fantasy drafts, the 2025 Hacker Fantasy League, 1 week from tomorrow, Twin Peaks, Atlantic and Kernan. If you think you're the best fantasy football player that listens to 1010XL, you have your chance to prove it. I only ask 2 things from you. Say it with me. Be available on Thursday night, August the 21st, and bring people with you. Bring the family, the kids, the wife, bring the buddies for a boys' night out. Whoever you want to bring, the more the merrier. If you can bring folks with you to enjoy the evening, if you can be available on the 21st of August, you can be in the Hacker Fantasy League draft. And as a matter of fact, be caller 4 right now at 641-1010, and you will get one of the 16 coveted spots in this year's HFL. Dave Kluge, footballguys.com. Talking fantasy football, joins us next.
Jaguars football lives here. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. Sunday at 1 on the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Now this is how you end a summer. Under the lights, surrounded by history. The driver's last shot at the playoffs. Your last chance to see regular season action. Friday night, Xfinity lights the fuse. Saturday night, the Cup Series delivers the fireworks. This is Daytona. This is everything. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 22nd and 23rd. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
The calls have been pouring in.
It's the strongest phone connection on the First Coast. The Checkmate Coatings phone line covers you with expert interviews from around the country and your opinions and comments from here at home. All day, every day on 1010XL.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on-road and off-road. But, Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see, Cycles of Jacksonville, or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Collamer lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Did you know that for every inch of rain on a 2,000 square foot roof, 1,500 gallons come off the eaves of the roof? Call Clearwater Seamless Gutters and Drainage, and we'll design a plan using our Clearwater Seamless Gutters, and we'll connect those gutters to a Clearwater drainage system to solve your erosion and standing water issues.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters.
And drainage, too.
SeamlessGuttersJacksonville.com.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, visit AA Automotive on Richard Street. For oil changes to complex repairs, AA Automotive is a full-service repair shop for personal and commercial fleet vehicles. Trust AA to keep your ride running A-OK.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Hey, Hicken here for my friends at Clean and Freaks at Zero Res. Back to school special with those guys. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $135, plus a free hallway and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and take advantage of these huge savings.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Steelers kick off the preseason on Saturday. But with the preseason kicking off, that means we are getting very, very close to fantasy football season. I know a lot of drafts are coming up. In fact, one of my first drafts, because we have buddies traveling in from out of town, of course, we have the HFL here on 1010XL. That'll take place on Thursday night, August the 21st. Let's get you ready for your fantasy draft, and let's do it with one of the best. Dave Kluge of Football Guys, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Dave, it's your time of year, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, it doesn't get better than this, man. You know, working long days, but doing something that I love. I'm basically at my computer from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, trying to bring in as much training camp analysis as I possibly can, seeing where I could still find those edges, constantly tweaking my rankings, and then, of course, as you'd imagine, drafting a lot of fantasy football teams.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And we're going to get your thoughts on some of the Jaguar guys in a moment. First and foremost, I always tell people this. There's nothing quite like draft day. For me, I'm in a league that's 20 years old. In fact, I think it might be 25 years old, come to think of it. I've been in it for 20 years. But buddies come in from out of town. We're all in a house, in a living room. We don't see each other but once every year pretty much, and it is for the draft. There's something special about those long-lasting leagues when it comes to draft day.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Yeah, I commissioned a league right when my buddies and I graduated high school. So it was a way for us to keep in touch as we all spread across the country, going to different colleges. And we are now, I believe this is year 18 or 19 that we're doing it. And we are scattered all over the country, but we still get together every single week or every single year on Labor Day weekend, have a great time, you know, stand up at each other's weddings, godfathers to each other's kids. You know, I think we probably would have stayed friends without the fantasy league, but I'm sure that played a big part in helping keep us together, keeping us all together over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, fantasy football is a good deal, and obviously it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger as the years have gone by. All right, Dave, I know you're getting this question a lot, but let's begin right at the very top. Let's assume it's a PPR league, points per reception. That appears to be the way many leagues are going now. If that is the case, who has been the consensus number one pick that you're seeing in all these drafts?
Ja'Marr Chase, no question. I mean, this is probably the easiest choice that anybody's going to have to make on draft day if you're sitting there with a 101. We're looking at a guy coming up fresh off of a Triple Crown at the prime of his career, one of the best wide receivers in NFL history, in a team that throws the ball a lot with a good quarterback and a bad defense. I mean, you can't poke a hole in Ja'Marr Chase's profile. He is just a perfect pick to make with the 101.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. I'm old enough to remember when running backs dominated the first round. That is no longer the case. I mean, are you seeing more wide receivers going round one than running backs this year?
Absolutely, yeah. But that being said, I think it does open up a unique opportunity now that the value has shifted so heavily towards wide receivers. I've had a lot of drafts where I've walked out starting with 2 very good running backs. You know, you can get Christian McCaffrey at the end of round 1 and then get Jonathan Taylor at the top of round 2 or Devon Achane. And then you can even follow that up with a James Cook or a Chase Brown in round 3. And I think because so many people are going after wide receivers early, a lot of drafters now are kind of turning in round 4 or 5 to look for those running backs, and you can zig while others are zagging. So I think that there are a lot of different ways to attack your drafts this year. And I tell everybody that you shouldn't go into a draft with a set strategy saying, you know, I'm going to take my running backs early, or I'm going to take my wide receivers early. I think what you want to do is rank your top 35 to 40 players and just draft straight off of that list of rankings. And then once you get 3 or 4 rounds into your draft, see the players that you have. From there, you can shift your strategy a little bit. So if you start off, you know, running back, then you know that you're going to be pivoting hard to wide receivers in those mid rounds and vice versa. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to draft. I think the positional value has kind of balanced itself out naturally now, and it opens up opportunities to draft in a lot of different ways.
Dave, you mentioned Ja'Marr Chase going number 1. The rest of the top 5, obviously there's going to be a little bit of differing here, but by and large, how have you seen the rest of the top 5 fall into place?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's different, really. Ja'Marr Chase is the clear 101, and I guess 90 to 95% of drafts. But that 2 to 5 is really, really tight in a lot of different rankings. And I can even go all the way down 2 to 6, if we're being honest. Justin Jefferson right now is dealing with a hamstring injury that's kind of pushed him to the bottom of that tier. But I think Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, they're all very tight in rankings. I prefer CeeDee Lamb with the second overall pick. This is a guy who just 2 years ago was the number one scoring wide receiver in fantasy football. We saw a little bit of a dip last year as they were dealing with quarterback injuries in Dallas. But Dak Prescott is back off that hamstring injury. He's 100%. He helped make CeeDee Lamb the overall wide receiver one just 2 years ago. So he's the easy pick for me. When it comes to the running backs, though, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, it gets really, really tough there. Saquon obviously was the biggest scorer last year, but you look at the amount of touches he had on his body, there's a lot of fear that he could potentially break down. So I still prefer Saquon Barkley ahead of Gibbs and Bijan, but it gets really, really tight in there. Personally, I think if you're picking 2 to 6, you kind of do the same thing I said earlier, where you just rank out the players in the order that you prefer them and hope that the league mates ahead of you will take some of those players and kind of make the decisions for you.
Couple more for Dave Kluge of Football Guys. As far as quarterbacks go, inevitably somebody in every league will draft a quarterback too high. Dave, where's the sweet spot? Where should quarterbacks begin going in these drafts?
So I'm going to contradict myself because I just said that you don't want to go into a draft with a preconceived strategy. But I think the one strategy that I do want to try to adhere to as much as possible is just waiting on quarterback. And when you think you've waited too long, wait some more. There is so much value to be had late in drafts this year. And so many people fall into the trap of saying, well, I've got my running backs, I've got my wide receivers, I've got my tight end. Now I need to draft my quarterback. When you realistically this year could be drafting multiple bench players to get depth at running backs and wide receivers before you look at the quarterback. Now, it's tough to know who that breakout player is going to be. But if you look at quarterback rankings, you can get through the top 23 guys or so and talk yourself into any of those guys being top 5 at their position. Even when you start looking at the Bryce Young, not a sexy name by any means, but over the last month of last season, he was the number one scoring quarterback. Cam Ward is a guy getting pushed way, way down in drafts this year, but he's got some rushing upside that could surprise a lot of people where he can be a viable quarterback. Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Caleb Williams. There are just so many guys that are good quarterbacks in good situations this year that it is so hard for me to justify paying up for any of those elite guys.
You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. Let's finish with the Jaguars. Again, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Look, I drafted Travis Hunter in every Dynasty rookie league that I'm in, mainly because I was very high in those rookie drafts because my teams were awful last year. But I get the same points from DB position and the wide receiver position. Travis Hunter has been a great Dynasty pick. What about a redraft league, Dave? Where are you seeing Travis Hunter go in some redraft leagues?
Well, I promise I'm not just trying to butter you up here. I am higher on Travis Hunter than anybody else in the industry. I publish my rankings, and you can find them at Football Guys, but I also take part in the Fantasy Pros Expert Consensus Rankings Contest, where I've logged back-to-back finishes inside the top 20. And this year, I have Travis Hunter as my wide receiver 22. His ADP is wide receiver 31, so a little bit lower. But I just see such a good player, and I don't think that the Jaguars, who invested in James Gladstone, a guy who played a pivotal part in helping build Los Angeles' offense, and then Liam Cohen, one of the best offensive minds in football, I don't think that they would have traded what they traded to move up for Travis Hunter unless they had big plans for him on offense. And Ryan, I remember talking on your show probably a little over a month ago when we were talking about Travis Hunter's impact. And I said that I see him as a very similar player to Chris Godwin and Brian Thomas Jr. as a very similar player to Mike Evans. And it's so easy to envision that similar high-low offense where Brian Thomas Jr. is keeping defenses honest by getting behind them, and Travis Hunter is able to work underneath. So Brian Thomas Jr., he's got the production from last year that we can't ignore, and that makes him a first-round pick in most leagues. But it would not surprise me one bit if Travis Hunter ends the year with more targets working as that underneath safety valve than Brian Thomas Jr. can get.
You mentioned BTJ as a first-round pick and a 12-team PPR. Where's Travis Hunter going? Round 4, round 5, in that area?
ADP says that he goes in round 5, but he's a guy with my ranking being pretty aggressive on him. I am A-okay taking Travis Hunter in round 4, and that's been a guy for me. If I'm in the middle to end of round 4, I don't even think twice. He's almost just an auto pick for me at that spot in the draft.
Other Jaguars, as we go quickly here, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne. That's a good problem to have, not so much in fantasy football. They might monopolize each other. What's your thought on the tailback position?
The way I envision it splitting up, and maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, is that Tank Bigsby is probably going to get a lot of the early down and goal line work, which has some value. And then Travis Etienne, I expect him to get a lot of the passing down work, which also has some value. So you say they could cannibalize each other a little bit. I think both of them being in their roles makes them both weekly flex options. Of course, Tank Bigsby is going to be a little bit more volatile, as you probably want him to score a touchdown to really pay off. Travis Etienne is the guy getting overlooked in drafts right now. But if he can maintain that role as a guy playing on passing downs and maybe even lining up in the slot occasionally on early downs, targets in fantasy football are worth 2.5 times as much as a carry. So even if he's got a role where he isn't getting a lot of the early down work he's had in years past, if he's pulling 5 to 6 targets a game, that will make him a top 36 running back.
Dave, tell us about Football Guys. It is fantasy football draft season. What can the good folks here in Jacksonville look forward to when they head on over to the website?
At this point, I want to plug the Rate My Team feature that we have. As soon as you are done with your fantasy draft, just type in Rate My Fantasy Football Team, Football Guys Rate My Team, whatever you want to do to find it. We have a tool that doesn't require any input. You just sync it up with your league. It will pull over all of the teams from your league. And not only does it grade your team on an A through F scale, but it'll even look ahead at bye weeks and tell you potential players to pick up on the waiver wire that can help you get ahead of those bye week woes. So it's a tool that we've had for about 10 years now, but this year we've invested a lot into making it bigger and better than ever. And that would be the one thing that I really, really would recommend anybody check out.
He's one of the best. Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Dave, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. Best of luck in all your drafts, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
We're not rock stars. We're not movie stars. We're not stars. We're just guys and gals who love sports. And the city of Jacksonville. We are 1010XL.
We've all seen great overtime games and thrilling finishes, but when it comes to having a big time, knowing when to say when is key. Budweiser reminds you to win the day and night by designating a driver. That's a victory every time.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, Jason, got a minute?
Always. What's on your mind?
This time of year, my air conditioner is running non-stop. Hot all day, hot all night. It has to run constantly just to keep up.
Well, that's what they do.
But if something happens to it in the middle of a 2-week heat wave, I'm in trouble, Jason. I can't wait 3 days or 2 days or even the next day for service. If you can't get someone here today, I'm sweating by tonight. What if it breaks, Jason?
You call me, pal. That's what we do. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
But you're probably swamped with calls from everyone else's AC that ran nonstop and then broke in a heat wave, so they called you because that's what you do.
But we always have room for an emergency. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we have techs standing by because we know these things happen.
So I don't need to worry. Wow. That time you calmed me down without even using the sunglasses.
Oh, I was reaching for them.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Protect your home and your wallet with Universal Roofing Contracting. Save up to 20% on roof replacements and repairs now through August 31st. Financing is available with payments as low as $115. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roofing Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference. For 100 years, service you can trust. Lee and Kate's Glass, depend on us. Glass solutions to meet your needs. Reliable quality guaranteed. Complete customer satisfaction. With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Come to Monahan Jewelers store-wide 40 to 50% off sale going on now for a very limited time. Everything on display is 40 to 50% off at Monahan Jewelers. We've bought so much brand new jewelry, we need to make room for it. Diamond jewelry, engagement semi-mounts, colored gemstones, even gold chains. Right now, everything on display at Monahan Jewelers is 40 to 50% off. Jewelry's going quick, so come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor
Jacksonville, Hickens Hype. Checkmate Coatings crushes it with floors I'd put in my own pad.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all. Garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Rush to checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your pool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
Looking for summer fun the whole family can enjoy? Check out Wick, a candle bar. Make your own custom candles and body care products in store at Wick, a candle bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up here in the 9 o'clock hour, about the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we'll go down to South Florida, to Miami. Adam Lichtenstein is one of our guys when it comes to the Miami Hurricanes. You can check him out at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. We'll check in on Mario Cristobal, Carson Beck, and Miami as they are preparing for Notre Dame. 2.5 weeks away. 2.5 weeks away from the Irish and the Hurricanes, the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. Of course, Miami also has a little game against Florida in week 4, so we're going to know an awful lot about Miami 2 weeks into the year. We'll talk about how Hurricane camp is going with Adam Lichtenstein, and that's something I wanted to try to do this week. We went to Gainesville on Monday. We were in Tallahassee last night. We'll go to Athens tomorrow to check in on the Dogs. Tonight, it's all about Miami. Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Also, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark as we'll take a look around the world of college football. The Associated Press preseason poll is out. Florida, actually, it was interesting. Georgia came in at number 5. Miami came in at number 10. And Florida came in at number 15. 5, 10, 15 for the Dogs, the Canes, and the Gators. Florida State was in the others receiving votes column. I believe they got 8 votes for the Associated Press, which did not put them inside the top 25. So we'll talk to Brent Beard about that and more of everything else going on in college football. Denmark, I wasn't really aware of this. I knew there was the Ireland game, but I guess next Saturday, so we're talking 10 days, is there like a marquee matchup? Well, of course not. But like Dan Mullen makes his UNLV coaching debut on the 23rd.
I think they play Idaho State.
Yeah, I think Kansas plays on the 23rd.
They do.
Hawaii plays somebody on
Stanford.
CBS. Stanford.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what? After 7 months without college football, I'll flip back and forth. I mean, I'll primarily watch the Jaguars, obviously, but Stanford, Hawaii on CBS to kick off the college football year, why not? And, of course, as we know, there is that Dublin, Ireland game. It's a Big 12 game, right? It's, is it Iowa State, Kansas State? It's something
That's right.
like that. Yeah.
Noon.
So that was the Florida State, Georgia Tech game a year ago. Now it's in the Big 12 over in Dublin, Ireland with Kansas State and Iowa State. And those college football games are only 10 days away. Denmark, as a Florida Gator alum, the orange and blue blood pumping through your veins. They're 2.5 weeks away from their opener. We've talked a lot of Gator camp. We'll continue that conversation, certainly as it gets closer. But we're not going to know anything about Florida until week 3. Look, they're going to beat Long Island with their eyes closed. South Florida, a little tougher, but come on. I mean, if Florida is who we think they are, they should pull away from USF midway through the third quarter at the latest. So even though the season for the Gators starts in 2.5 weeks, we're not really going to know anything until September 13th at night on the Bayou against LSU.
Yeah, I'm not. I think we can find a little bit of stuff about USF game. USF played Alabama pretty tough last year. They've played a couple of Power 5 teams or Power 4 now pretty close the last couple of years. The way that the group of 5 schools now recruit is, the guys that can't get to the major, the SEC, the Big Ten schools, they recruit them to say, we can get you the NIL that, you want, next year. So you come to our program for 1 year, and then we'll get you the NIL that you want at Florida, Florida State, Ohio State, wherever.
No, that's a good point. I mean, the guys that were going to Florida or Florida State that were 4 stars that knew they weren't going to play right away, they just wanted to go to be a Gator or a Seminole. Now you can go to USF, like you said, perform for a year as a freshman, and then end up at a bigger school, basically in college free agency the following year.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how a lot of them, like Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Memphis, I know, like, that's how all those schools recruit those kids now. It's kind of sad because, you're not developing a lot of them now. It's just like a JUCO. You're here for a year or two, and, if you're really good, you're going to get poached by a better school. But I still think you can find a little bit from that Florida USF. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to know what Florida is when they play LSU in the Bayou Week 3, and it's going to be every team from here on, after that Week 3 is going to be pretty tough.
Well, yeah, look, I don't think Florida's going to beat LSU. I'd be lying to you if I told you that I thought Florida was going to go to Tiger Stadium at night and beat LSU. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, well, then, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a heck of a conversation about Billy Napier at that point. Because unless you are the most diehard, drinking the orange and blue Kool-Aid Gator fan there is, and there are quite a few of you on social media, unless you're one of those folks, no one's going to pick Florida to win that game. Now, the following week against Miami, I do think Florida's going to beat Miami. I think the last year's game will be a big motivating factor. And that's one of the things I love about college football this year, or I guess in the era that we're in with the playoff. Man, you jump right into the deep water. Remember, there was the longest time where you had a couple of big games, but by and large, everybody in the country just tiptoed their way through the first 2 or 3 weeks. This year is nuts. Just look at locally. Look at what we have locally. First 4 weeks, Miami plays Notre Dame and Florida. First 4 weeks, Florida plays LSU and Miami. First 4 weeks, Georgia plays Tennessee and Alabama. And the first game of the year, Florida State has the Crimson Tide as well. You also have LSU and Clemson. You also have, Texas and Ohio State. It is a fantastic thing that we get right to it with these huge college football games. Sometimes you need a directional U, and look, Florida has one this year. Georgia has a couple this year. But they also have huge games mixed in very early on in their season. So college football talk coming up. Brent Beard, you see him on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. We'll also go down to Miami later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel to talk about Miami Hurricane fall camp. Quickly, Denmark, I mentioned this last night. Next Friday, August the 22nd, opening night or opening week of the high school football season here in the state of Florida. We will kick off year 19 of the Friday Night Lights postgame here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. I am getting the opportunity to host it once again. Cannot wait for it. And Dylan Denmark will be my brand new co-host. Denmark, I'm certainly looking forward to that. And we're also starting a new venture. I mentioned this last night. Channel 4, our buddies over there, Jamal and Justin and all those great folks, they do an awesome job with their high school coverage. Not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we do a pretty good job with our high school coverage here on 1010XL, thanks to our boss man, Steve Griffin, who has made that a huge deal for this radio station since we started all the way back in 2007. So Channel 4 and 1010XL are going to kind of merge together for high school coverage this year. And every Friday night, Justin Barney of Channel 4 and myself will be on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much all the multimedia facets of 1010XL and Channel 4, hosting a high school football show in real time, 6:30 to 8:30. We'll have check-ins from games. We'll be able to break down games as they are happening. And then I'll have to leave the Channel 4 studio about 8:30, 8:45, hustle back here for the Friday Night Lights postgame. Denmark, I remember when I played at Wolfson, man, ages ago, early 2000s, the TV stations did some stuff, but high school football was no more than the sideline. 99, I believe, is what Hicken hosted back in the day. We got, 15, 20 minutes on those newscasts. Now, when you look at what Channel 4 and we here at 1010XL are doing, and you combine that with the Friday Night Lights postgame that we're doing, Denmark, we're talking 4.5 hours every night that this radio station is dedicating on Friday nights, every Friday, to high school football. I think it's an absolutely terrific thing.
No, it is, and I haven't lived anywhere else. I lived in Gainesville for 1 year when I was at UF. What they do for Jacksonville, all the local stations here, the radio stations, they do an outstanding job covering high school athletics, really. I mean, football, everybody's really all in, but athletics as a whole, the whole school year is really, a remarkable job what everybody does here locally.
We started this radio station in April of 2007. The first Friday Night Lights show aired August of 2007. Right from the opening stages of this radio station, we made high school football coverage a big deal, and here we are 19 years later, kicking off year 19 of the Friday Night Lights postgame next week. And again, our new venture with Channel 4 that we will tell you about next week, getting ready for our first show next Friday. Back into the world of college football. Let's talk a little college football. Let's do it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. We're glad you're with us on a Wednesday evening here in the city of Jacksonville. It's 1010XL and it's 92.5 FM.
What does Johnny O know best? O knows Jacksonville football.
Okay, say, oh my.
Wednesdays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Served by Twin Peaks, home of the 29-degree draft on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Summer's winding down, and we know you want to enjoy what's left of it. But before you celebrate this Labor Day weekend, plan ahead and know all your options. If you drink, don't get behind the wheel. Instead, designate a sober driver or catch a ride service. And if you are the designated sober driver, commit to staying sober. Celebrate responsibly and remember to drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Put some gusto in your golf game with Dan, Jeff, and the PGA Pros on Brunch with the Tour. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation and Apex Roofing and Contracting. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
I know you love sports, so why not take that passion and make a difference in your community as a volunteer coach with the YMCA? Whether it's soccer, basketball, volleyball, or flag football, the Y is always looking for positive role models to help kids grow in both skills and character. Even if you've got no coaching experience, that's fine. We'll provide the training. Step up, give back, and be the coach that makes a difference. To volunteer, visit your local Y or fcymca.org.
Leonard Skinner is coming home, and they're bringing the Stars and Stripes. Celebrate Southern rock and American pride with Leonard Skinner Rocks the Red, White, and Blue. It's a special night to support St. Michael's soldiers and the brave men and women of our armed forces.
Singing songs about Southland.
Saturday, November 8th at Daly's Place. Tickets on sale Wednesday, August 13th, only at Ticketmaster. DailysPlace.com for details. Be there when Skinner rocks for those who serve.
For over 55 years, Green Acres Sporting Goods has proudly served Jacksonville from the corner of Normandy and Hammond Boulevard. From archery to hunting and fishing, they've got the gear, service, and know-how to get you outdoor ready. Stop by their full-service archery pro shop and check out their wide selection of firearms. And while you're there, sign up for their weekly concealed weapon classes. You can find it all at greenacressporting.com.
If life blindsided you tomorrow, was your family struggle? I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial, and I can help. One call could protect your family for life. 904-885-9566. Harborstone Financial.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And just like that, we are 2.5 weeks away from what will be an unbelievable Labor Day weekend of college football. Come to think of it, we're a week and a half away from a handful of games during week 0 of the college football season, as we are on the doorstep of the 2025 season that will run almost all the way to February. It will be a long journey this college football year. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Boy, it's a great time of year, isn't it, Hack? I mean, the high schools are starting virtually any day now, and then the college and NFL kind of stagger each other a little bit, but it is a wonderful thing to talk about as we get closer. Most of the teams have had their first scrimmage. They're going into their second scrimmage this weekend, and look, I know people want the season to be here, but how important is it that these teams go through maybe 2.5, 3 scrimmages just to get right for the season?
The way I always describe it, it's like a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, because if you just waited for the end, you're not going to enjoy the loops and this, that, and the other that it takes to get to the end. And you mentioned high school. Yeah, we kick off year number 19, Brent, of the Friday Night Lights post game 1 week from this Friday. Pretty wild. 19 years here on 1010XL. All right, the Associated Press poll came out earlier this week. Your overall thoughts on it, including the Florida Gators finding themselves in the top 15.
Texas is number one. Can you believe that Texas is number one in the preseason AP poll for the first time?
Wow, that's shocking.
I mean, that's staggering to think about that. Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia are the top 5. But I can tell you this weekend that we're talking about, the first weekend of the season, you've got Texas and Ohio State. Texas is 1, and they're an underdog already to Ohio State. I mean, the game's on the road for Texas, so I get that. Clemson and LSU also going on. So there's a lot of good games early, particularly in the SEC. Hack, does it also surprise you how many of these SEC teams are on the road in the first week?
Yeah, it's certainly a drastic change from what we've seen in years past. I mean, Brent, you look locally, Georgia 5, Miami 10, Florida 15. About right in your opinion?
Probably. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, Miami is up there because they've got a veteran quarterback coming over from Georgia. Florida is probably – Florida may be a little low, but once they get into that gauntlet, unfortunately that may or may not tell their season and still some other SEC teams that aren't too far away. Oklahoma at 18, A&M at 19, Ole Miss at 21, Tennessee at 24 too. So no FSU involved in this top 25. They have got a lot to prove, obviously, with this year, so it's an interesting poll so far in the AP.
You see Bryn Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Yeah, Florida in the preseason AP Top 25, 7 of their 12 opponents are in the preseason AP Top 25. Absolutely nuts. You mentioned Florida State. They are in the others receiving votes column. And that's good, I guess. So some optimism in Tallahassee. We know now, Brent, who the quarterback is that Florida State will face in 2.5 weeks. As your alma mater, the Crimson Tide, I think it was the most well-known secret out there, but Ty Simpson, the former 5-star, is now the starting quarterback for Alabama.
Yeah, and he has earned it. They made it clear that that has happened. Now, they've got 2 freshmen or underclassmen underneath Ty Simpson. But I tell you what's interesting, too, is Jalen Milroe now being in the NFL, and you've got Dylan Lonergan, who is at Boston College. Eli Holstein is at Pitt, and Julian Sang is at Ohio State. So Simpson Hank, the thing about Ty Simpson is he waited his time. He did not transfer, and now he is ready to play. He really wasn't ready to play last year, the year before last. But it reminds me, you remember what Bobby Bowden used to do when the starters ended up being like redshirt juniors? That there is something about biding your time, is it not?
No, there is. And look, we've seen a lot of guys transfer out and they don't get immediate playing time, but maybe we're seeing that come around a little bit. We saw Carson Beck kind of wait his turn at Georgia as well. From an Alabama point of view, Brent, we focus so much on the Tide and the Seminoles from a Florida State vantage point, talking about how important that game is for Mike Norvell. Well, let's flip it. How important is that game for Kalen DeBoer?
Well, it's important. I think one thing, people think Bama's going to win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I mean, they might before it's over. I think that they are the better team, but that doesn't mean anything in your initial game. I mean, between penalties and fumbles and making mistakes, I mean, Florida State could be in that game up until the end. I mean, even though the game's in Tallahassee, I still think Bama, well, they are favored, and I think they probably will win the game. But again, heck, we just in your opener, you just really don't know what's going to happen. So that's what adds some intrigue to it. And oh, by the way, that's a 3:30 kickoff. It should be a little, shall we say, warm when that happens.
Yeah, what a great Saturday, because you got Texas, Ohio State at noon, really? Florida State, Alabama at 3:30. The nightcap, of course, that everybody's looking forward to is Long Island and Florida. But on another channel, you also have LSU and Clemson. Yeah. So it will be a terrific, terrific day. Quickly to Georgia. You know, it's funny, Brent, we talk about them being under the radar, which they kind of are for their standards. And yet there they are in the top 5 of the AP preseason poll.
Well, and look, there's still a lot to be proven at Georgia. For the for the 8th straight year, Georgia was voted a preseason top 5 team.
Craziness, absolutely craziness.
But it really shows you what they've got. Now, look, they've got Tennessee and Alabama in September, so that's going to be very interesting for them. Kobe Young at the wide receiver has impressed. running back John McCray. They're hoping he gets back to 100% soon. Obviously, Gunnar Stockton is your guy, and he has been around for a while. Even Nick Saban mentioned in an interview this week how much he liked Gunnar and has known him since like the 8th grade or something like that. So, look, this Georgia team, I still think is going to be they've got some stuff to work out. They've had their scrimmage. Obviously, Zion Branch coming over, Oscar Delp. I think the wide receiver is going to be fine. But this can be a really interesting team to watch over the year and as they continue to improve.
Brent, as we begin to wrap up, we're 2 weeks and change away from most SEC teams kicking it off. Give me one SEC team that you think might be flying under the radar coming into the year, and then the exact opposite. Give me an SEC team that maybe is getting a little bit too much love coming into the year.
I would say Oklahoma is probably one of the now, the problem is John Mateer, their quarterback, has been referenced in being investigated for a gambling situation that happened twice in the fall of 2022 when he was a freshman at Washington State. I mean, come on. At some point, you've got to, if you want to investigate this, that's one thing. But, I mean, this kid's grown up a lot, I'm sure, since fall of 2022. But this is going to be a really good football team. Frankly, now they've got an early game with Auburn. I think will make a difference for them. As far as, so I'm going to say Oklahoma is under the radar. I'm going to say that Tennessee, being a top 25 team, is. I mean, there's a lot going on at Tennessee. They've lost a lot of people. They've lost their quarterback that they had. They lost their running back that they had. So Tennessee is in a real rebuilding mode. Frankly, now Joey Aguilar coming over could be a really good quarterback for them. Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis, speaking of running backs, these guys are both sophomores. Chris Brazzell, Mike Matthews, Brian Staley. Tennessee may be more 8-4 or 7-5 this year. Now they've got a fairly easy schedule, particularly in the beginning, except for Georgia, and a very interesting Syracuse team. So I'll give you Oklahoma. That is going under the radar, in Tennessee that maybe is getting a bit too much love for all the losses they have. Yeah, Tennessee, we're going to find out about them pretty quick. As you said, they played Georgia in week 3, so we're going to get a good understanding of what Josh Heupel and the Volunteers have very, very quickly. We always have a good understanding of Brent Beard. He always brings the goods with us every week here on Hacker After Dark. You also see him locally there on First Coast News. Brent, the next time you and I talk, it will be game week for a handful of teams, not many, but a handful, week 0, and we will be a week and a half away from the official week 1 start of the college football season. It has gotten here very, very quickly. Thank you as always, my friend. Always enjoy it, Hank. Take care.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
If your house feels like a Florida swamp and your thermostat's just throwing out suggestions, then it's time to call Duck Duck Air Conditioning.
They showed up fast, fixed it right, and even cleaned up after. My house is finally chilled, and so am I.
Whether your AC needs a quick fix, a full replacement, or just a little TLC, Duck Duck Air Conditioning has got you covered with fast and honest service. Call 904-862-6769 to get your cool back, or online at duckduckac.com. When your AC is stuck, call the Duck.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Your home is your sanctuary where memories are made. Jack's homeowners trust Superior Fence and Rail to make their home feel safe, secure, and complete. Imagine a classic wood fence for privacy, sturdy aluminum to protect your pets, or a modern vinyl design that boosts curb appeal. Every fence is built with precision and pride, standing strong in every season.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Football season is back, baby. Hicken here, and I know I'm excited to get back to watching some ball over the weekend. But with the fun comes responsibility. Taking care of your skin while outside, extremely important. We know it feels like 100 out there, and that sun is blazing. Make sure you bring the screen while loading up all that tailgate. It's simple. Protect your skin. It's the Sunshine State. To help you protect your skin, Beaches Dermatology is here. I've been going to them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Book your appointment today at beachesdermatology.com.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. With it till 10 o'clock, as we are every night. I'll be right back down at the Miller Electric Center tomorrow. What appears to be a Jaguar scrimmage type practice tomorrow is what we're being told. It's 2 hours long, 9:45 to 11:45 is when it's scheduled. I'm scheduled to go one-on-one with Jaguar offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland after tomorrow's practice. Got all sorts of questions for him. There's a lot of outside noise about Ezra Cleveland coming into camp, really the entire offseason. And I'll be straight up. I'm not going to throw stones in a glass house. When they drafted Wyatt Milam, I thought either him or some of the other free agents they brought in, I thought Ezra Cleveland might be in a little bit of trouble. Ezra Cleveland, by all indications, has had a phenomenal camp and is all but a surefire starter at left guard on that offensive line for the Jaguars. So really looking forward to talking to Ezra tomorrow, and we'll bring you that conversation tomorrow night on Hacker After Dark, as well as reaction from the Jaguar scrimmage. And again, if it's a really physical practice, which I assume it will be, I can't imagine the starters playing on Sunday. You're going to have a real physical scrimmage type setting, and then basically 72 hours later, you're going to play another preseason football game where the starters are out there. I just don't see it. But we'll know a lot more tomorrow, and that'll certainly be a big portion of tomorrow night's Hacker After Dark, and we do hope that you join us then. But we're not done on a Wednesday night, though. The Miami Hurricanes, they play Notre Dame in 2.5 weeks. They play Florida in just over a month. It is a brutal start to the year. What about Carson Beck? What about Mario Cristobal? Have they fixed the defensive problems that cost the Hurricanes a college football playoff berth last year? Let's talk about Hurricanes fall camp with our guy down in Miami, Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. He joins me next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us right here on Hacker After Dark.
Let's get the work done.
Training camp is here.
Up, quick feet, quick feet, quick feet.
1010XL's training camp coverage is backed by Roland Reach Plumbing and Green Acres Sporting Goods.
Let's go, here we go, let's go. It's live now, let's go.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
As a law enforcement officer, safe roads are one of my top priorities, ensuring everyone can get home safely each day. Some never will, due to aggressive driving, being distracted, or speeding on the roads. And too often, that results in the toughest part of my job and the longest walk in my life. I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
9 people will be killed on our Florida roadways today. Don't let it be you or a person you love. Buckle up every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Looking for your new favorite hangout this football season? Try Voodoo Brewing Company in the heart of San Marco. Locally owned and community focused, Voodoo Brewing serves up award-winning beers, scratch-made upscale pub fare, and laid-back vibes where everyone's welcome. For live music, trivia nights, and all the football action this season, make Voodoo Brewing Company Jacksonville your new favorite spot on San Marco Square.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
Leonard Skinner is coming home, and they're bringing the Stars and Stripes. Celebrate Southern rock and American pride with Leonard Skinner Rocks the Red, White, and Blue. It's a special night to support St. Michael's soldiers and the brave men and women of our armed forces. Saturday, November 8th at Daly's Place. Tickets on sale Wednesday, August 13th, only at Ticketmaster. DailysPlace.com for details. Be there when Skinner rocks for those who serve.
For over 55 years, Green Acres Sporting Goods has proudly served Jacksonville from the corner of Normandy and Hammond Boulevard. From archery to hunting and fishing, they've got the gear, service, and know-how to get you outdoor ready. Stop by their full-service archery pro shop and check out their wide selection of firearms. And while you're there, sign up for their weekly concealed weapon classes. You can find it all at greenacresporting.com.
Mike Dempsey for Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. If your roof's got any damage, if it leaks, if it's just old and ugly, call my friends at Apex Roofing. But Mike, roofs are so expensive. It's true, quality roofing is not cheap, but Apex Roofing has up to 100% financing available, so you don't have to compromise quality for budget. Apex Roofing. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work with financing available. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacksonville Beach. ApexRoofingFL.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us, and just like that, we are 2.5 weeks away from what will be a crazy Labor Day weekend in the world of college football. You obviously have Alabama, Florida State. You got Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Texas, and, of course, a big one in South Florida between the Fighting Irish and the Miami Hurricanes. Speaking of the Hurricanes, they've been in camp a couple of weeks. They are getting ready for Notre Dame. How is Mario Cristobal's team taking shape? Our guy down with Miami is Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Adam, how you doing?
Oh, doing pretty well. Gotten through the first couple weeks of fall camp down here, and it's getting to the point where you start looking past the end. You start looking past camp, and you're itching for the season to start.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's going to be here before we know it. I mean, I've been down at Jaguar training camp. I've been so immersed in that you look at the calendar, and heck, week 0 of the college football season is a week and a half away when it officially does kick off. All right, Miami getting ready for Notre Dame. We'll get to that game in a moment. First and foremost, how has Carson Beck been looking during fall camp?
Yeah, that's obviously the biggest question, because he didn't throw during spring, so no one really saw him then. But in the fall, he's been cleared to throw since late April or early May. And when we've seen him in camp this fall, he looks great. If I didn't know he had an elbow injury, I wouldn't have guessed he had an elbow injury. He looks fine. The ball's come out of his arm, out of his hand well. He looks good. Like I said, you wouldn't know that 9 months ago he was, going under the knife. He looks, like Carson Beck.
You and I spoke a month and a half ago before camp, obviously, and at that point, we talked about the pressure on Carson Beck. Now, look, he played at the University of Georgia. There were always a lot of eyes on him. But in the transparent age of social media and the 24-hour news cycle, people know what Carson Beck's getting paid, reportedly. People know that he's replacing the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward. From those two aspects, does that add, Adam, pressure to Carson Beck coming into the year down there?
I don't know. I mean, like you mentioned, he was obviously at Georgia, the starting quarterback there for 2 years, for teams that had national title aspirations. They were just coming off a national title. So I think, and it's a different environment. Athens, any SEC town is a fishbowl, and everything is focused on that college team. So down in Miami, obviously there's a bunch of pro teams. So I don't know if there's quite as much pressure in that regard. And yeah, like there's the NIL aspect and different things like that off the field stuff that I'm sure comes up. But if it's phased him in any way, he hasn't shown it. He looks he sounds confident. He sounds excited. Like nothing about anything he said, in public at least, makes me feel like, pressure getting to him or it's too much for him or anything like that.
Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Adam, a lot of guys that played for Miami last year are now playing in the NFL this year. A couple of receivers, a running back, a tight end, just to name a few. How has fall camp gone for the guys that are replacing those now NFL players?
Yeah, there's a lot of production they got to replace, particularly on offense. You start off at wide receiver, where they lost basically everybody. Either the NFL or the transfer portal. They added a couple of guys via the portal, guys like C.J. Daniels, Tony Johnson, Keelan Marion, all guys, more experienced guys who played 4 or 5 years at the college level. Daniels, played at Liberty, was a 1,000-yard receiver there, and then played for LSU last year. Marion, who was a spring addition, was an All-American kick returner at BYU. And you have Tony Johnson, who's a solid slot receiver at Cincinnati and FAU. So those guys, I think, add a lot of, kind of veteran depth. Even if they're not going to be superstar kind of guys, they're solid. And then you look at, there's like a group of receivers who are younger, who haven't really had a chance to play a ton at the college level yet. either because they're literally brand new to campus or they are, they're playing behind veterans the last year or two. So at receiver, you look to guys like JoJo Trader, who was a 4-star prospect, teammates with Jeremiah Smith in high school, but was an excellent receiver in his own right in high school. He didn't play a lot last year, was a little bit banged up, and also, Miami has so much veteran depth ahead of him. He only played a couple games, but when he was on the field, he looked good. Then you look at a guy like Josh Moore, who's a freshman, one of the guys who's really stood out to me in camp. He got here in the spring, and he looks like a physical freaky type, like 6'3", one of the fastest receivers on the team. He's really stood out to me. I don't know if he's going to be a starter or anything entering the season, but I think he's going to have a significant impact early. And another guy, you mentioned tight end Elijah Arroyo going to the NFL, is one of the top tight ends in the draft this year. They have another Elijah to replace him, Elijah Lofton, who doesn't quite have like that, 6'5", 240 build that you might want from, a receiving tight end, but he's kind of more of like a 6'3", line up anywhere, in line, out, outside, in the backfield even, with a world of talent. Like, since he's arrived on campus last spring in 2024, the coaches and other players have been raving about him. And he only got on the field for about 100 or so snaps last year because Miami had 3 tight ends who were older and, playing ahead of him. They expect a lot from him this year. He could be a guy, he could be a make or break kind of guy for this team where if he's that offensive weapon that Carson Beck can look to, he could put up big numbers and be a major, major part of this offense.
Final moments, Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel previewing the Miami Hurricanes with us here on 1010XL. Adam, as you know all too well and following this team, they scored a bunch of points last year. Odds are they're going to score a bunch of points this year. The problem was they didn't stop anybody, particularly at the end of last year, which cost them a college football playoff. It also cost some people their jobs on the defensive side of the ball down there. How has the defense looked with that new staff here in fall camp?
They've looked pretty solid. And like you said, the defense kind of got worse and worse as the year progressed. It started out okay. There were some warning signs, some issues. But as more guys got banged up and hurt, the depth was just not there. So by the end of the year when they're playing Syracuse, even though they got out to a 3-touchdown lead to start, they obviously gave that up to Kyle McCord and, that solid offense up in Syracuse. This year, I think they totally flipped that. The secondary in particular, last year they had no secondary depth. So when guys like Damari Brown and Jadis Richard got hurt, they had very little to replace them. This year, they brought in 5 or 6 defensive back transfers. I can't even – every time I try to think and remember all of them at the same time, I always forget somebody. But they brought in a bunch of cornerbacks, guys like Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin, who Wisconsin wanted to keep so bad that they're suing Miami about it. You got Keontae Scott, who they brought in from Auburn, Ethan O'Connor, who was the starter at Washington State, and they brought in Charles Brantley, who was the starter at Michigan State. So that's 4, new cornerbacks who are all guys who played at their previous schools. These aren't guys who are bench warmers. They're all quality players. They brought in a couple of safeties and Zachariah Poyser, who the staff has raved about, who's probably almost certainly going to be a starter after having a really good redshirt freshman season at Jacksonville State. Brought in Jacoby Thomas, who was at Tennessee last year, was a rotational safety last year, who they like a lot. So they brought in a lot of talent to add to the guys who were already in the room. Guys like O.J. Frederique, who was an freshman All-American last year, and Damari Brown, who they expected a lot from last year, but who missed almost the entire season with injuries. So they've got a lot more depth, a lot more talented depth this year than they had last year. And I think that's going to be the most significant change on defense, that even if 1 or 2 guys get banged up or, maybe don't play up to the level they're expecting, they've got other guys who can come in and fill those roles and probably play well. So I think that's the biggest difference. The other spots on defense, linebacker, defensive line. Defensive line, you've got Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, who are 2 excellent edge rushers. They both had their share of injuries over the last couple of years. Bain was kind of limited last year. Mesidor's had a year or 2 where he's, been banged up. If they're both healthy, they could be all ACC, and in Bain's case, maybe even all-American edge rushers. Linebacker, you got, veteran like Wesley DeSainth. They brought in a guy from Rutgers, Mo Torre, who he's going to, I just read about him yesterday or 2 days ago. He's going into his 7th season at the college level because he has torn his ACL twice, missed 2 years due to injury. But when he's healthy, he was an all Big Ten caliber guy at Rutgers. So they expect a lot from him as long as he's healthy. So, projected to be the number one defense in the country. Of course not, but they got a lot of talent on that side of the ball. And I think, like, especially with new defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman, who had a really good defense at Minnesota, I mean, there's only one way they can go. I think they're going to be much better on defense this year.
Adam, final question. We got about 60 seconds. Look, Mario Cristobal this time last year, there were questions about him. Then he rattles off 10 wins, and now all is right with the world. But you know that fan base, man. If they were to lose to Notre Dame and, say, to Florida to begin the year, Cristobal, again, is going to be under, I don't know if a hot seat, but a hot look from the fan base. They will not be happy about that. How vital are the Notre Dame and Florida games to begin this year for Cristobal?
Yeah, of course, they're crucial. I mean, those are two really big measuring sticks. I mean, Miami wants to be at the ACC championship level. They want to be at the college football playoff level. So those are two great teams. I mean, Notre Dame coming off going to the national title game last year. Florida, a lot's expected of them this year. So, like, those are great measuring sticks. And I really think Miami, obviously they want to win every game, but I think it would be best for them at the very least to split those two games and show that they are a good enough team to not just do well in the ACC, but compete against teams that are recognized to be really good nationally. Of course, the easiest path to the college football playoff for them is just winning the ACC. So even if they lose to Florida and lose to Notre Dame, they can still rattle off all the wins in the ACC and conference play, make the ACC title game, and potentially win that and go to the playoffs. And if that's what happens, I don't think Hurricanes fans are going to be screaming for Cristobal's head if they make the playoffs that way. But obviously you want to beat Florida, you want to beat Notre Dame. Those are two big rivals. So if they lose both those games, people will be a little annoyed. But it's really not about how you start; it's about how you finish. People were thrilled with the team for the first 8 weeks of the year last year, and they faded down the stretch, and people were upset. If they start off slowly and end the year strong and go to the playoff, people will be fine with that.
Adam, obviously a lot of Miami fans up here in Northeast Florida. Tell them about the South Florida Sun Sentinel and what you'll have in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be, at camp every day. It's open to us, writing about the Hurricanes basically every day. So you can follow me on Twitter at AD Lichtenstein. You can follow all my work at sunsentinel.com. And yeah, I'll just be day in, day out, plugging away, waiting for the season to start.
He's our guy when it comes to the Miami Hurricanes, Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Adam, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Thanks for having me again.
And thank you, too, Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to take a look at Miami. Again, the Hurricanes, 2.5 weeks away from their season opener against Notre Dame, and what will be certainly one of the marquee games on the opening Labor Day weekend of college football. As we've talked about, really, this entire offseason, we're going to know pretty quick about Mario Cristobal, Carson Beck, and the Miami Hurricanes with games against Notre Dame and Florida in the first 4 weeks of the year. Now, both of those games are at home, so that should help. But, man, that is a tough putt. But, as Adam said, it's a good point. I mean, if you want to get technical about it, Miami doesn't necessarily need to win either one of those games. If they win the ACC and they win the ACC championship, they'll still be in pretty good shape for the college football playoff. But you guys know as well as I do, Miami fans are going to be fuming if they lose home games to both Notre Dame and Florida. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how that goes down. Well, so we spent some time on that. Other college football nuggets as well, as we're, again, 2.5 weeks away. Really a week and a half away from the first week 0 of the year, and then 2.5 weeks away from the big Labor Day weekend. But obviously a majority of the time tonight was spent on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had an off day today down at the Miller Electric Center. They'll be back down there tomorrow. We'll be down there scheduled to talk with offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland, which should be pretty interesting, right? Ezra Cleveland was let out to pasture by a lot of people heading into camp. He's won that job there at the left guard spot, and I'm not sure it's particularly close. So I'm looking forward to talking with Ezra Cleveland tomorrow after the Jaguars' Thursday practice. Well, that will just about do it. Crazy busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Adam Lichtenstein of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, talking about the world of college football, the newly released Associated Press poll, among the things we discussed. And back in hour number 1, a little fantasy football talk. My guy Dave Kluge from Football Guys getting you ready for your fantasy football draft. And my buddy Leon Searcy, the former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on XL Primetime. You also get him here on Hacker After Dark as we look ahead to Sunday's preseason game 2 for the Jaguars out in New Orleans. Now, we'll be back tomorrow on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
This is Joe C. from XLP, and I hope you will join us at the Hodges Ale House, corner of Hodges and Beach Boulevard, as we say farewell to our head coach, Dave Campo.